I'm super diligent about sleep. I'm a solid 8 to 9 hour kind of gal. And if anybody wants to interrupt that, they better have a very good excuse and reason for it. I learned that a long time ago. And then, nutrition. So in terms of that holistic well-being piece, as a psychologist, I think probably my tendency was always to think about what's happening in my mind and how can I have those daily practices of journaling and gratitude. But more and more now, particularly as I'm getting a little bit older and heading into that season of perimenopause as well, I'm being very conscious that in order for all of those psychological strategies to be effective, which they are, I actually have to really look after the machine, which is my body, and make sure that my brain is operating well, and my gut health is good, that I've had the sleep, I'm drinking the water, I'm getting the sunshine. So really that big holistic piece. And the other piece to that is spirituality, which is a really core part of my well-being protocol, for want of a better word, but way of being as well, and just being connected to that sense of that there's something bigger and what is it that I want to do today for that little moment of meaning. It doesn't always have to be that big super moonshot goal, although they're fantastic, but just being really conscious and aware of those everyday moments as well, and how they play into a bigger picture.
I love your authenticity, and I love that you touched on so much in that one response. I don't hear a
Very
lot.
ADHD of me, Prudence.
I love it. It is so what we need, right? Because many times we think about well-being, you think about diet, sleep, and exercise, and those three are very important. And many individuals think about those. But you touched on the gratitude, you touched on journaling, you touched on community and spirituality, and so much of that adds to well-being. And I think for individuals, many think about exercise and they think about a 1 hour class, and they think about sleep and they think about 8 hours. But what is right for you? So for me, that's 7.5 to 8 hours is my sweet spot. And I don't hit it as often as I should. And I need to be more diligent with it. But I also give myself grace and recognizing the reasons why there are the trade-offs. And what else am I? Oh, it's day 1009 of consistently writing in my gratitude journal. All right, you are doing well. Yes, I've missed a few Sundays of church, but when am I going back, right? So recognizing what I need to be whole, when I'm off kilter, and getting back to that. I really appreciate you sharing that. And it's so important for leaders to think about that as well, because a leader might be a role model as it relates to one area, but maybe not another. But acknowledging how others are taking care of themselves is totally fine, right? We all don't need to be the SME on every single thing, on every single topic as it relates to well-being. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And actually, there's so many little points that you've touched on there that got my brain working as well. Probably the one practice that I've really consistently stuck at that has been an absolute game changer for me, particularly once, so I came into a late diagnosis of ADHD. And that shift in terms of identity was really interesting, and sort of reworking a lot of old labels that really weren't ever mine to carry and hold, and re-narrating those, but self-compassion. So when I first learned of the practice of self-compassion and understanding that actually I could speak to myself like I would a really kind friend, and that not only was that in a nurturing, loving, kind of feminine archetypal way, but that there's this fierce self-compassion within me where it is okay and actually really appropriate to set boundaries, both for myself personally in our family life, in our personal lives, but then professionally as well, to role model to others what it looks like to say no, but in a kind way and in a way that invites a yes for a different opportunity, or helps the other person to recognize, where additional opportunities might be. That particular practice has really stuck out as one that's incredibly beneficial for lots of different reasons. So it's one, if your listeners haven't come across it, I'd encourage to lean into. Of course, there's Kristin Neff, who's done a lot of beautiful work in this space, and also Brach. And I notice, depending on people's different lived experiences, those two particular contributors, the ones that come top to mind, resonate differently. So a little bit of reading for those who are interested to dive into the practice.